Picture a courtyard in the early morning light, the kind of quiet where even the birds hold their breath. A 14-year-old girl named Suri kneels in the dirt, her wrists bound with hemp rope that's rubbed her skin raw. Above her, an executioner's blade catches the sun, gleaming like a warning. The crowd, merchants, samurai, mothers clutching their daughters, stands frozen, silent. Suri's crime? One word, no. She said it to a marriage contract, to a 52-year-old rice merchant who paid 3 bags of rice and a promise of trade to own her. Her father's seal is pressed in red wax. But Suri looked him in the eye and refused. For that, the ancient laws of feudal Japan demand her life. Welcome to WTF History, where we dive into the stories that make you stop and ask, how did this happen? Today, we're stepping into a world that feels like a dystopian nightmare. Except it was real. 676 years of a system that turned half of Japan's population into property. This is the story of women in feudal Japan, of laws that made executing children for defiance not just legal, but required, of girls sold before they could dream of freedom. We're starting with Suri. But this isn't just her story. It's the story of millions, their names erased, their pain buried, their courage forgotten. So grab something to hold on to because this is going to hit like a freight train. It's April 15th, 1868, and Japan is teetering on the edge of change. Western ships sit in Tokyo Bay, their smoke curling into the sky like a signal of a new world. Telegraph lines are being strung, carrying whispers of steam engines and human rights. But in this courtyard, time hasn't moved in centuries. The laws that govern Suri's fate were written when Europe was still in the dark. Ages when the idea of a woman having a voice was unthinkable. A daughter who defied her father wasn't just a rebel. She was a criminal, a threat to the order of everything. The punishment? Death, delivered with the cold precision of justice. Suri kneels, her chin raised, her eyes steady. Her mother, in the crowd, hides a sob behind her sleeve, her face a mask of practiced control. The other women stand stone-faced, knuckles white as they grip their children's shoulders. They've seen this before. They know the rules. They've lived them. The executioner, a man who's done this. For decades, adjusts his grip, the blade rising higher. This isn't murder, not in the eyes of the law. It's the system doing what it was built to do. But how to get here? How does a society decide that a child's life is worth less than a man's pride? Let's rewind to 1192, when the Kamakura shogunate takes control of Japan. The country's a mess. Warlords fighting, chaos everywhere. The new rulers want order, and they get it by splitting humanity in two. Men exist, women belong. A scribe sits in a dimly lit room, his brush dipping into ink, scratching out laws that will chain half the population for 7 centuries. A woman cannot own property. Another dip. A woman cannot represent herself in court. Another stroke. A woman's testimony is worthless against a man's word. These aren't suggestions. They're the foundation of a new world. Meet Ami, a widow in a village outside Kamakura. Her husband died 3 days ago. Leaving a small farm, they worked together for 20 years. Her hands know every stone in those fields, every curve of the soil. Under the old ways, that farm would be hers. But the new laws, read in the village square, change everything. Women can't inherit. Women can't own. Women can't even buy rice without a man's permission. And who's Ami's legal guardian now? Her 8-year-old son. Imagine that. An 8-year-old boy, barely able to tie his own sandals, now decides if his mother eats or starves. He has to press his seal to every transaction, approve every sale of vegetables. Ami stands there listening to the no consequences. A daughter who refuses an arranged marriage? That's a capital offense. The rules spread like wildfire, province by province. In Kyoto, women can't walk alone after dark. In Osaka, wives must bow when their husbands enter a room. There's no escape, noble or peasant, young or old. If you're born female, you're born property. The Buddhist temples, which you'd hope might offer refuge, instead bless it all. Monks preach that women are inferior because of karma from past lives. Suffering is holy, they say. Obedience is salvation. Rebellion is sin. By 1300, 3 generations have lived under these laws. Grandmothers who once owned shops or signed contracts are dying out. Their granddaughters can't imagine a world where women are anything but property. The system's locked in, but it's not enough to strip women of rights. The real horror is what they build on this. A world where childhood itself is outlawed, where girls are sold before they can understand what's being taken. Picture Yukio, 12 years old in 1347, sitting in a corner clutching a doll her mother sewed. Through the thin walls, she hears her father negotiating her life. 2 bags of rice. A military alliance. That's her price. The buyer, Lord Matsumoto, already has 6 wives, the oldest 22. Yukio will be the youngest. The drought that year has left her family starving. They can sell Yukio or watch everyone die. Her father seals the contract, and in 3 days, she's married. On her wedding night, she learns why men like Matsumoto choose young brides. They break. Easier, stop fighting sooner, learn silence faster. This isn't a glitch, it's the design. Girls as young as 9 are married off to secure alliances or fill rice jars. Temples bless these unions, saying young branches bend without breaking. Yukio's body isn't ready for marriage's demands. By 13, she's pregnant. By 14, she's dead, her narrow hips no match for childbirth. Midwives call it the young bride's curse, a death they see monthly. Some survive, like Hannah, married at 11 to a silk merchant. By 16, she's endured 4 pregnancies, her body scarred, pelvis broken, spine curved. Aches that flare in the rain. She's a success because she gave her husband sons and lived. That's the bar. But survival has a catch. Suicide among child brides is so common that families guard them. Like prisoners, barred windows, counted knives, locked poison. The system doesn't stop selling children. It just ensures they can't escape, even through death. And this is just the beginning. The laws and marriages are the foundation, but the economy they build on it, where girls become currency, takes this horror to another level. Let's step into that world next, where brothels like Yoshiwara turns suffering into profit, and freedom becomes a lie told in numbers. We're back on WTF History, picking up where we left off in a world where a girl like Suri could be executed for saying no, where laws from 1192 turned women into property, and girls like Yukio were sold into marriages that killed them. That courtyard in 1868 feels far away, but it's connected to what we're diving into now, the cold, calculated economy that turned girls into commodities. This isn't just about laws anymore. It's about a system that priced innocence, built brothels like factories, and made freedom a cruel joke. Let's go to a village in 1347 and see how this machine worked, how it chewed up lives and spit out profit. A father sits across from a brothel owner, coins clinking on the table. His daughter, May, is 7, her hair in childish braids. The rice jar at home has been empty for 3 days. Her mother's pregnant, her brother's belly swollen from starvation. The owner counts out 15 silver pieces, muttering about May's pretty face and untouched body. She'll bring good money once trained, he says, like she's a horse or a sack of grain. May's father doesn't haggle. Those coins mean 3 months of food. He presses his thumbprint in red ink on a contract he can't read, and May's life is gone. She thinks she's off to a big house to learn dancing. And we're pretty close. She doesn't know she'll never see her family again. This isn't a one-off tragedy. It's a science. Brothels like the House of Falling Cherry Blossoms don't just exploit. They engineer slavery. May's contract is a trap. Her purchase price, plus 60% annual interest, plus costs for food, clothes, makeup, and training. A girl bought for 15 silver owes 30 by year's end. 50 by year 2. Freedom is impossible, the math designed to keep her chained. Owners keep ledgers as precise as any merchants, pricing every detail. Age, appearance, virginity. A pretty 7-year-old might fetch 20 silver. A plain 12-year-old only 5. They're not selling services. They're selling lives, priced by the pound. In coastal villages, this becomes so normal that fishermen joke about raising retirement funds, their daughters. During famines, infant girls are sold straight from the birthing bed. Buyers like Tanaka in Minami village make an art. He rolls in during lean months, his cart full of rice, cooking meals in the square until the smell draws desperate families. Your daughter could eat like this every day, he says, learn refined. Arts, meet important men. Illiterate parents sign away their girls, not reading the fine print. Tanaka's ledger is chilling. Item 127, age 8, black hair, small build, 12 silver pieces. Names vanish the moment money changes hands. By 1450, he's bought over 300 girls, each a line in his book, A Life Erased. The real profit isn't in villages, it's in cities. A girl bought for 15. Silver in a hamlet can be resold for 50 in Kyoto. Brothel owners in Yoshiwara, Japan's first pleasure district, build palace-like compounds, dressing girls in silk to hide the brutality. The girls become mathematicians of survival, memorizing their debt to the last coin. A night's work might earn 50 coins, but 60 go to expenses. They recite their balance like a prayer, but it never shrinks. Some try to earn extra. Secret abortions for wealthy wives, spying for merchants, but owners have informants. Girls caught hiding money face punishments worse than death. Beatings, mutilations, public displays to break their spirits. Yoshiwara isn't just a brothel. It's a prison disguised as paradise. High walls surround 10 city blocks, in Edo, a single gate, controlling entry and exit. Guards count everyone, and a moat catches girls who jump from windows. Inside, the hierarchy is brutal. At the bottom are girls like Suki, 8 years old, cleaning rooms and disposing of bloody sheets until she's old enough for prostitution. Above her are common prostitutes, servicing dozens of men nightly. At the top are Taiyu, elite courtesans who choose clients, but even their prisoners, their silk robes, just prettier chains. The routine crushes spirits. Wake at noon, eat thin gruel, spend 3 hours on hair, layer on makeup. Wrap kimonos so tight breathing's a struggle. By sunset, girls are paraded in latticed windows, men pointing and paying like they're a market. Younger girls fetch higher prices, fresh stock. Patrons call them. Suki sees 13-year-olds return at dawn, walking like broken dolls, some never walking again. Internal damage is common. Deaths are sudden illness. Pregnancy means forced. Abortion, herbs that burn your insides, needles or massages with a 30% death rate. Disease is treated with mercury that kills as often as it cures. Debt grows daily, a horizon that recedes with every step. Refusal means beatings from ex-samurai enforcers. A girl who bites a client loses her teeth. One who scratches loses her fingernails. Suicide is so common that chopsticks are collected. Windows barred, girls watch constantly. When they die, they vanish. No funerals, just bodies dumped at Jokanji Temple, the throwaway temple where 25,000 women lie in unmarked graves. Their flower names, Cherry Blossom, Morning Dew, are recycled. Suki asks about her friend Morning Dew, and the house mother snaps. There's always a Morning Dew. Yoshiwara becomes culture. Woodblock prints glorify the floating world. Poets romanticize the women, and the government taxes every coin of misery. By 1600, its model spreads to Shimabara in Kyoto, Shinmachi in Osaka, walled. Cities of suffering, filled with girls who enter as children and, if lucky, die young. But this economy isn't just about brothels. It's about erasing women's humanity, starting with their very appearance. Let's step into the rituals that turned girls like Mei and Suki into objects, where beauty became a tool of control, and every brushstroke was a step toward disappearance. We're back with WTF History, continuing the story of a world where girls like Suri were executed for defiance, where laws made women property, and brothels like Yoshiwara turned children into profit. We just saw how an economy priced girls by their innocence, trapping them in debts they'd never escape. Now let's dive deeper into the rituals that didn't just control women's bodies, but erase their identities. This is about how beauty became a weapon, how every blackened tooth and layer of poison makeup was designed to strip away humanity. Picture a girl named Hanako, and let's see how her reflection became a stranger's face. It's 1550, and Hanako, 15, stares into a bronze mirror, catching the last glimpse of her real self. An older courtesan grips her jaw, brushing black dye onto her teeth. The mixture, ohaguro, smells like iron and rotting leaves burning as it sets. Married women do this to show they belong to husbands. Courtesans like Hanako do it too, show they belong to anyone who pays. Don't move, the woman snaps. If the dye drips, it'll burn your lips. Hanako bites a wooden stick to keep from screaming, tears streaming down. The courtesan wipes them away, impatient. 6 more girls need processing before noon. Why? Hanako whispers. The answer cuts deep. Black teeth hide your expressions. Men don't want to see what you're thinking. It makes you a better product. This isn't beauty, it's erasure. Next, her eyebrows are plucked with copper tweezers, leaving her skin red and swollen. A razor scrapes stubble. Then new eyebrows are painted high on her forehead, like a child's drawing. Natural eyebrows show too much emotion, the woman says. These don't move, don't judge, don't reveal. Then comes the makeup, lead-based paste so thick it cracks. It's poison, seeping into bones, organs, brains. That long. Red lipstick, an elaborate wig, and Hanako's face is gone. A doll stares back. That's the point. Men pay for objects, not people. The transformation isn't just physical. Your name is. Floating petal now, the house mother declares. Hanako is dead. The name's recycled. 4 floating petals in 3 years. Training starts immediately. Tiny, fragile steps to seem weak. Mechanical tea pouring. A high-pitched, childlike voice saying nothing real. Forget you have thoughts, teachers say. Forget preferences. You are what the client wants. Pubic hair is plucked for a childlike look. Breasts are bound flat under kimonos. Waists are cinched until breathing's hard. Diet is controlled. Enough rice to survive, never enough to resist. Every morning, 2 hours for makeup, an hour for hair, 30 minutes for teeth. Half their waking hours are spent erasing themselves. Resistance is costly. A girl who skips ohaguro has her teeth filed to points. Too hideous to smile. Another who complains about lead makeup gets it mixed with ground glass. The message: submit or face worse. By 1550, these rituals spread beyond brothels. Respectable women. Blacken teeth to prove submission. Pluck eyebrows for modesty. Lead makeup poisons noble ladies. Beauty means disappearance. An entire culture redefines it as erasure. In Yoshiwara, these rituals are just the surface. Girls like Suki, who we met last time, start as servants, learning the infrastructure of suffering, cleaning bloodied sheets, preparing abortion herbs, staying silent amid screams. When promoted to prostitution, they learn to endure, to perform, to suppress every human instinct. House mothers balance starvation and survival, keeping girls weak but marketable. Clients shop in latticed windows, paying extra for the youngest. The physical toll is brutal. 13-year-olds die from internal damage. Pregnancies end in forced abortions with a 30% death rate. Diseases are treated with toxic mercury. The psychological toll? A debt that grows faster than earnings. A horizon of freedom that recedes daily. Refusal means beatings, mutilations, or worse. Suicide is so common that chopsticks are confiscated, windows barred. This erasure isn't just about appearance. It's about breaking spirits. But the brothels are a world unto themselves. A walled prison where suffering is refined into an art. Let's step through Yoshiwara's gates next. See how it operated as a factory of misery, and meet the girls who lived and died within its walls. Their lives reduced to numbers in a ledger. We're back with WTF History, continuing our dive into the nightmare of feudal Japan, where girls like Suri faced execution for defiance, where laws turned women into property, and beauty rituals erased their humanity. We just saw how girls like Hanako were transformed into dolls, their teeth blackened, their faces poisoned, their identities stripped away. Now, we're stepping through the gates of Yoshiwara, Japan's first official pleasure district, a place that wasn't just a brothel, but a prison where humanity was. Currency. Let's meet Suki, an 8-year-old girl caught in this machine, and see how it turns suffering into profit with chilling precision. It's 1600, and the gates of Yoshiwara slam shut behind. Suki, the sound like a coffin lid closing. She's arrived in a merchant's cart, one of 6 girls bought from drought-stricken villages. The air reeks of perfume and despair, high walls encircling 10 city blocks in Edo. This isn't just a brothel. It's a fortress, a single gate controlling all movement, guards counting every soul, a moat catching girls who jump from windows. The proprietress, 40 and ancient by Yoshiwara standards, looks Suki over. "Work hard. You might live to be my age," she says. Suki's training begins that night, not in pleasure. She's too young, but in survival. Cleaning rooms, disposing of bloody sheets, preparing herbs to prevent pregnancy, staying silent when screams echo through the halls. Yoshiwara's hierarchy is brutal. At the bottom are girls like Suki, servants waiting to ripen for prostitution. Above them, common prostitutes service dozens of men nightly, their bodies breaking. At the top, Tayo, elite courtesans who choose clients, are still. Prisoners, their silk robes, just prettier cages. The routine is designed to crush. Wake at noon, eat thin gruel, spend 3 hours on hair sculptures, layer on lead makeup, wrap kimonos so tight. Breathing's impossible. By sunset, girls are paraded in latticed windows, men pointing and paying like they're at a market. Younger girls fetch higher prices, fresh stock. Patrons call them. Suki sees 13-year-olds return at dawn, walking like broken dolls, some never walking again. Internal damage is common. Deaths are sudden illness. The owner's business model is simple. Maximum profit before the merchandise expires. Girls work every night and less bleeding. Pregnancy means forced abortion. Herbs that burn insides, needles, or massages with a 30% death rate. Disease is treated with mercury that kills as often as it cures. Debt is a noose. Purchase price, training, food, clothes, all outpace earnings. A night might bring 50 coins, but 60 go to expenses. Freedom is a myth. Refusal means beatings from ex-samurai enforcers. A girl who bites a client loses her teeth. One who scratches loses her fingernails. Suicide is so common that chopsticks are collected, windows barred, girls watch constantly. When they die, they vanish. No funerals, just bodies dumped at Jokanji Temple, where 25,000 women lie in unmarked graves. Their flower names are recycled. Suki asks about her friend Morning Dew, and a house mother snaps. There's always a morning dew. Yoshiwara becomes culture. Woodblock prints glorify the floating world. Poets romanticize the women. The government taxes every coin. Police ignore escape attempts. Judges uphold illiterate parents' contracts. By 1600, Yoshiwara's model spreads to Shimabara in Kyoto. Shimachi in Osaka, walled cities of suffering, filled with girls who enter as children and, if lucky, die young. Suki survives 5 years, watching friends die of disease, abuse, despair. She forgets her real name, but never the sound of those gates, echoing every night, locking her in a world without a key. This prison isn't the whole story. The same system shapes villages, where families sell daughters to survive, and noble houses, where girls are traded like assets. But the control goes deeper into women's very bodies, deciding what lives, what dies. Let's explore the reproductive horrors next, where forced abortions and infanticide turned wombs into factories, and girls like Suki faced a new kind of terror. Welcome back to WTF History, where we're unraveling the brutal reality of feudal Japan. We've seen Suri's execution, the laws that made women property, the beauty rituals that erased identities, and Yoshiwara's prison-like brothels. We just walked through Suki's world, where girls were trapped in a machine that profited from their suffering. Now, we're diving into one of the darkest chapters, the reproductive horrors. This is about forced abortions, infanticide, in a society that treated women's bodies like factories, deciding what lived and what died. Let's meet Yuki and see how her body became a battleground. The tea smells like poison because it is tansy, pennyroyal, mercury compounds designed to kill what's growing inside, while keeping her alive for work. The house doctor, 70 and numb to screams, orders her to drink it all. Yuki knows the routine, vomiting blood, cramps like her insides are being twisted, a fever that lasts days. The herbs can kill if the dose is off, but the doctor doesn't care about precision. If Yuki dies, another girl waits. When herbs fail, methods get worse. Needles through the cervix, violent abdominal massages, or in one Osaka house, hanging girls upside down and shaking them. The death rate is 30%, but owners call it acceptable losses. Yuki survives, but her body's failing. Constant bleeding, agonizing pain, yet she's expected to work. Pregnancy is a business loss, so abortions are forced. Some girls hide pregnancies, binding bellies, starving themselves, working until collapse. If caught, punishment is brutal. Abortions done to cause maximum pain. As a lesson, late-term pregnancies face procedures that are essentially forced labor followed by infanticide, using hooks and clamps that would horrify modern doctors. Less than half survive. Babies born despite the herbs are sorted. Boys sold to merchants or temples. Girls raised in the brothels to continue the cycle. These brothel daughters know no other life, broken before they walk. This isn't just a brothel problem. In famine years, families face impossible choices. Too many mouths, not enough rice. The solution is mabiki, thinning the seedlings, infanticide. Midwives carry 2 sets of tools, one for delivery, one for ensuring some babies never breathe. Boys might work fields, but girls are future expenses, so they're smothered or their necks twisted. Records saying stillborn. Midwife Okawa, in 1623, delivers 47 babies. 23 are girls, 16 stillborn. Her notes reveal the truth. Father requested thinning. Family cannot feed another daughter. For families keeping daughters, mercy sales emerge, selling them to brothels while they're healthy to avoid starvation. It's framed as kindness, at least the elite. Noble women face different pressures. Samurai wives bearing only daughters risk divorce or concubines to produce sons. Some hide daughters' gender, raising them as boys. Discovery means death for both. In brothels, pregnancy is theft, lost profit. House mothers calculate 9 months of lost income plus abortion costs versus buying a new girl. Abortion always wins. By 1650, this is normal forced abortion, business expense, infanticide, and agricultural practice. Women's bodies are factories, men deciding the output. But this control extends beyond brothels and villages into the palaces of the elite. Noble women become political pawns, their lives tied to their husband's loyalty. Let's meet Lady Matsuko next, living in a gilded prison where one wrong move could mean death, and see how even wealth couldn't buy freedom. We're back with WTF History, continuing our journey through feudal Japan's horrors. We've seen Suri's execution, the brothels of Yoshiwara, the beauty rituals that erased women, and the reproductive terror that turned bodies into factories. We just met Yuki, whose body was a battleground, forced through abortions to keep her profitable. Now we're stepping into the gilded cages of Japan's noble women, where luxury masked a different kind of prison. This is the Sankin Kotai system, where wives and children became hostages to ensure their husband's loyalty. Let's meet Lady Matsuko and see how even palaces could become tombs. It's 1660, and Lady Matsuko hasn't seen her husband in 3 years. She knows exactly where he is because if he steps out of line, she'll pay with her life. The Sankin Kotai system is brutal genius. Every daimyo must spend alternate years in Edo serving the shogun, leaving their families behind as collateral. Matsuko lives in a mansion within Edo Castle, surrounded by silk screens, gold tatami, gardens she can see but never walk alone. It's a prison of beauty, every comfort provided except freedom. Her letters to her husband are read by 3 inspectors. One wrong word could be seen as conspiracy. The other hostage wives call it the beautiful death. Servants, fine clothes, the best food. But always one messenger away from execution. If a husband rebels, or even seems to plot, his wife and children die first. Take Lady Fumiko in 1663. Her husband, Lord Yamada, was accused of fortifying his castle without permission, just some extra stones for repairs. The shogun needed an example. Fumiko got 6 hours' notice, time to write death poems for her children, ages 4, 7, and 9, and dress in white, her makeup perfect. The execution was public. Other hostage families forced to watch, faces blank as Fumiko and her children knelt on white cloth. Her youngest boy kept asking for his father, her hand on his shoulder the only answer. The psychological torture is relentless. Showing fear could suggest knowledge of a husband's plans, so they master empty smiles, meaningless. Talk a hollow existence. Their children grow up in terror, never laughing too loudly or running too fast. The women develop secret codes, a flower arrangement signaling "my husband writes of." Taxes, code for trouble, or tea served a certain way, meaning inspectors are watching. But protection has limits. When Lord Sato was caught smuggling guns in 1678, his wife and daughters were arrested at dawn. Other wives could only watch from behind screens as their friends were dragged away. 3 days later, new women filled the Sato quarters. Some resist, like Lady Icho, smuggling letters in makeup boxes with juice that appears when heated. For 3 years, she communicates until she's caught. Her punishment isn't death, but worse. Her servants are killed one by day. As she watches, then she's moved to smaller rooms until she's in a space too tiny to lie down. She goes mad within months. These women are breathing insurance policies, their wealth meaningless. Many husbands forget them, taking concubines or remarrying in their domains. When Sankin Kotai ends, some women, hostages for 40 years, are released into a world they don't understand. Their children raised in captivity, their husbands strangers. Freedom becomes a new prison, but not all women accept their cages. Some pick up weapons, fight back, and learn that strength is a crime. Let's meet the female warriors next, the onna-bugeisha and kunoichi, whose courage was erased because it threatened everything. We're back with WTF History, continuing the story of feudal Japan's cruelty. We've seen Suri's execution, Yoshiwara's brothels, erased identities, reproductive horrors, and noble women trapped as hostages. We just met Lady Matsuko, living in a gilded prison where her life hung by her husband's loyalty. Now, we're meeting the women who fought back, who picked up weapons and defied a system that called their strength a crime. These are the onna-bugeisha and kunoichi, female warriors whose courage was erased because it threatened the entire order. Let's meet Tomo and see how even victory came with punishment. It's 1750 and Tomo, in her 20s, grips a naginata, its curved blade heavy in her hands. 3 days ago, bandits attacked her village, killing every man over 12 defending the rice stores. Now, 43 women and children face starvation or slavery unless someone fights. Tomo's trained in secret since childhood, stealing moments with her brother's weapons. Today, necessity makes her skills legal, temporarily. The village elder warns, when this is over, you return to being women. The weapons go back in storage. Speak of this to no one. The women make armor from leather and bamboo, sharpen farm tools into blades. Tomo teaches naginata moves, its reach keeping attackers at bay. The bandits expect no resistance from a village of women. At dawn, 20 bandits approach, laughing, until a 15-year-old girl's arrow takes their leader in the throat. The battle is quick and brutal. Tomo's naginata opens 3 throats. A grandmother, Hannah, kills 2 with a rice sickle. They lose 4 women, but the bandits lose everything. Victory brings punishment. Word of fighting women spreads, and officials investigate. Women using weapons is illegal unless circumstances are dire. Was this dire enough? After weeks, the verdict justified barely. But Tomo, the leader, is too dangerous. A woman who can kill 3 men might get ideas. She's offered execution or exile to a nunnery where she'll never touch a weapon. She chooses exile. The others burn their armor, surrender weapons, and are silenced. History records bandits defeated by villagers, their gender erased. Onna-bugeisha exist in the margins, allowed to fight only when men are gone, forgotten after. Their competence proves what women can do and why they mustn't. Kunoichi, female spies, use society's dismissal as camouflage. Mei, working for the Takeda clan in the 1600s, trains in poisons and infiltration. Posing as a merchant's daughter, she maps castle defenses, winning 3 battles without a sword. Her reward? Erasure. When the Takeda win, Mei's skills become a liability. She's arrested for theft, tortured into confessing she's a fox spirit. Her execution denies her human skill. This pattern repeats. Skilled women are called possessed or unnatural, anything but capable. Tomo Guzan, a famous onna-bugeisha, is rewritten as a demon, her courage twisted into bloodlust. The Naginata, deadly in trained hands, is rebranded as a defensive weapon for women protecting homes, ignoring its power to disembowel a samurai. Training is allowed only as spiritual exercise. By 1750, the Tokugawa peace closes windows for women to fight. New edicts ban women from weapons, training, or teaching combat, with punishments from imprisonment to death. Female competence threatens the order. If women can fight, what else might they do? The last onna-bugeisha battle is in 1750, when prostitutes being sent to Yoshiwara overwhelm their guards. Led by Yuki, who learned swordsmanship. Before being sold, they fight for 3 hours. Yuki kills 4 samurai. Her last words, "I die human, not property." This defiance leads us to the daily violence that shaped women's lives, not just in battles, but in homes where punishment was as routine as sunrise. Let's meet Sachi next and see how survival meant mastering the art of enduring pain. We're back with WTF History, continuing our journey through feudal Japan's darkness. We've seen Suri's execution, Yoshiwara's brothels, erased identities, reproductive horrors, hostage wives, and warriors punished for their strength. We just met Tomo and the female fighters whose courage was erased because it threatened everything. Now, we're stepping into homes where violence wasn't an event but a daily ritual, as expected as the sun rising. This is about bamboo sticks, leather straps, and metal-tipped whips passed down through generations, each notch marking a woman taught her place. Let's meet Sachi and see how survival meant enduring pain. It's 1780 and Sachi, 17, has been married 3 hours. Her husband, Akira, shows her a bamboo stick smooth from generations of use. My great-grandfather carved the first notch when my great-grandmother burned rice, he says, pointing to hundreds of marks, each one a woman learning her place. Sachi's introduction to marriage is a tour of punishment. Tools: the bamboo rod for daily corrections, the leather strap for serious infractions, the metal-tipped whip for permanent lessons. Every household has these, passed from father to son like heirlooms. A man who doesn't discipline his wife is weak. A woman without scars is cunning. Violence has rules, favoring the attacker. Face strikes are discouraged. Bruises show. The back, legs, and arms are targets. Breaking bones is fine if she can work. Death, if it happens, is legal. In the Yamamoto household, punishment is a sunset ritual. The wife and 3 daughters kneel. The father reviews infractions. Overcooked rice, 3 strikes. Imperfect kimono, 5. Looking at a male visitor, 10 strikes and no dinner. Yui, the youngest at 8, keeps a secret tally on her thigh, scratching marks for each beating. By 10, the marks overlap too much to count. Public violence is worse. Samurai wield kirasa gomen, killing commoners for disrespect, doubly so for women. In 1789, Haru, a merchant's wife, is beheaded in Kyoto's market for not bowing fast enough while carrying her sick infant. The baby's left crying beside her body, a lesson to others. Husbands have unlimited authority. Neighbors can correct women. Boys as young as 8 outrank their mothers. Women prepare for violence like weather. Extra layers to cushion blows, falling safely. Protecting organs, crying just enough to satisfy attackers. Mothers teach daughters, drop when he raises the stick, cover your kidneys, damage their kills slowly. Scream on the third strike. Not the first. Starvation is a favorite punishment, leaving no marks. Women get only water for days, especially in famines, when it's a death sentence disguised as discipline. Fathers eat while wives and daughters watch, learning their place. The psychological toll is crushing. Every footstep could signal a beating, every mood shift a threat. Women develop hypervigilance, reading faces, predicting triggers. Some rebel quietly, slipping poison into food for discomfort, sharing tips about spoiled goods. But rebellion is risky. In 1812, Midori is caught adding nightshade to her husband's soup. She's stripped, tied to a post, beaten publicly by any man who joins. She survives 3 days, her body displayed for a week. The message: endure or face worse. As the 19th century dawns, Western ships bring whispers of change, but the system fights back, claiming its final victims with desperate cruelty. Let's step into the 1860s next, where old ways clash with a new world, sparking honor killings and new resistance, leading us back to Suri's final moment. We're back with WTF History, continuing the story of feudal Japan's horrors. We've seen Suri's execution, Yoshiwara's brothels, erased identities, reproductive terrors, hostage wives, erased warriors, and daily violence that scarred women like Sachi. We just walked through homes where punishment was routine, where survival meant enduring pain. Now, we're in the 1860s, the final years of this system, when Western ships bring change, but the old ways fight back with a vengeance. This is about a dying tradition clashing with a new world, where honor killings spike, brothels expand, and women resist in dangerous new ways. Let's see how this leads back to Suri. It's 1867, and Tokyo Bay is filled with Western ships, their steam engines puffing smoke. Telegraph wires carry news of women's rights in America. Steam trains change travel. Photography challenges tradition. But in a mansion nearby, 15-year-old Icho is prepared for a marriage ceremony unchanged since 1400. Her contract makes her property, expected to obey, produce heirs, no consent required. The modern world stops at her father's gates. The Meiji Restoration looms, but samurai, sensing their power fading, lash out at the weakest, women. From 1860 to 1868, execution for female disobedience triple. Minor infractions become capital crimes. Reading foreign books, speaking to merchants, showing curiosity, all punishable by death. Brothels, knowing abolition is coming, work girls harder with creative debt. Calculations. Yoshiwara expands to its largest in 1865, buying girls as young as 5 in bulk. In villages, families who've sold daughters for generations panic at losing that income. They sell younger girls faster before laws change. The marriage market frenzies, with 60-year-old men marrying 11-year-olds, the age gap at its peak. But whispers of change spread. Women read smuggled Western newspapers, learning of places where women vote, own property, choose husbands. These whispers are deadly. In 1866, samurai wives are caught with a hidden library of foreign texts. Their trial is swift, charged with corrupting their minds. The sentence, public burning in iron cages, their screams echoing across Edo. Yet each execution fuels questions. Younger samurai, exposed to the West, doubt the system. Merchants need educated workers, wondering why half their workforce is illiterate. Foreigners are horrified by child prostitution, and international pressure grows. The government, profiting from Yoshiwara for centuries, finds it embarrassing. The old guard doubles down. Female adultery now means death, not exile. Boys as young as 6 can beat their mothers. Women are executed for walking too loudly, smiling without cause, excessive curiosity. It's desperate, a system grasping at shadows. But every death sparks 10 stories, every execution 100 conversations. Questions unthinkable for 676 years. Why? What if? Could things be different? Are asked. Women hide literacy, pass coded messages, dream of more. This is the world Suri steps into, her single no about to become the final spark. Let's return to that courtyard in 1868, to the blade above her head, and see how her death changes everything. We're back for the final chapter of this WTF history journey through feudal Japan's darkness. We've walked through Suri's execution, Yoshiwara's brothels, erased identities, reproductive horrors, hostage wives, silenced warriors, daily violence, and the desperate 1860s, where a dying system clashed with change. We just saw Icho's world, where Western ideas sparked resistance, but the old ways fought back with brutal honor killings. Now we're returning to that courtyard in 1868, where 14-year-old Suri kneels under a glinting blade, her single no carrying the weight of 676 years. This is her final moment, and the spark that ends an era. Let's finish this story. It's April 15th, 1868, and the morning sun catches the executioner's blade above Suri's head. She's 14, her wrists raw from hemp rope, kneeling in the dirt. The crowd, merchants, samurai, mothers clutching daughters, is silent, even the sparrows still. Suri's crime, saying no to a marriage. Contract with a 52-year-old rice merchant who paid 3 bags of rice to claim her. Her father's seal is on the document, but Suri looked him in the eye and refused. The laws, written in 1192, demand her death. This moment is the culmination of everything we've seen. Laws making women property, child brides like Yukio dying at 14, Yoshiwara's girls like Suki trapped in debt, Hanako's identity erased by poisoned makeup, Matsuko's gilded prison, Tomo's punished courage, Sachi's daily beatings, Icho's burned dreams. Suri's mother stands in the crowd, her face a mask of agony. Last night, she taught Suri to die with dignity, position her neck for a clean cut, empty her mind of fear, make her last moment count. The executioner, 60, inherited this job from his father. He's killed thieves, murderers, traitors, but this, a child refusing marriage, makes his hands tremble. The magistrate reads, Suri, daughter of merchant Taka, has refused her father's arrangement. Despite counsel, she maintains rebellion. The sentence is death. The women in the crowd see themselves in Suri. They've all wanted to say no to marriages, beatings, sales, erasure, but fear kept them silent. Suri's courage is their voice, and it's about to cost her everything. The blade descends. Suri's last words whisper across the courtyard. I die as myself. The steel slices. A soft thud follows, and her body falls, blood pooling in dirt that's absorbed centuries of women's pain. Normally, crowds scatter after executions, but today they linger. Women stare at the small body. Men shift uncomfortably. Children ask unanswerable questions. The magistrate orders Suri's body displayed as a warning, but it backfires. Women leave single blossoms as they pass. By the third day, hundreds of flowers surround her. The authorities can't stop it, and they can't stop what's coming. Within 2 weeks, the Meiji Restoration begins. Samurai lose their swords. Their power, laws enslaving women for 676 years crumble. Yoshiwara faces regulation. Child brides are challenged. The right to kill women questioned. Change is slow. Trauma doesn't heal overnight. But Suri's death marks the end of one era, the start of another. We know her story because one scribe wrote, "Today I witnessed the execution of a girl named Suri. She was 14. Her crime was refusing marriage. She died bravely. This should be remembered. Without that, Suri would be another erased name, like millions whose suffering was invisible. Her name was Suri. She was 14. She said no. Remember her. Remember them all." Thanks for joining this journey through WTF history. This story hit hard, didn't it? Drop a comment. What shocked you most? What do you want us to cover next? Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this so we can keep uncovering the past together. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking, what the hell happened here?